What's going on YouTube? Titus here again with another Master Duel video, and I'm playing Fluffy Frightfur Kaiju? Okay, it's a work in progress. It's something I've been kind of messing with. I wanted to do this because the Fluffal Frightfur archetype is so good at just killing your opponent if they have nothing else on board. And so I figured, well, if we could do that, we could always use Kaiju Slumber to summon two different Kaijus, make a Frightfur Cruel Whale to pop their Kaiju, and the Kaiju that we summon, and then hopefully have another way to get to Frightfur Kraken and just kill them straight out. And it seems to actually work pretty well, for the most part. So the deck we're playing is one Fluffal Cat, one Fluffal Wing, and one Fluffal Octopus, along with the Owl and the Sheep, and the other one is the Dolphin. All of these are going to have different effects for when they are sent to grave by fusion. Cat go ahead and grabs another polymerization from the graveyard and adds it to hand. Wings is really good for some recursion of drawing. It's also just such a good card because of that reason. By sending Toy Vendor to grave, it helps get that card in the graveyard and grab more resources. So when this card is in the grave, you can banish another Fluffal from grave, draw a card, and then send a Toy Vendor to draw another card, and then Toy Vendor activates and you grab another Fluffal monster. So it's really good for that recursion. Octopus here, it recycles two fusion, or not fusion, sorry. It recycles two banished when used as a fusion. Really good card for that. Usually it recycles your Frightfur fusion stuff to get them back into grave. Pretty useful. You have Owl. Owl's really good. Owl's actually really good. I really like this card. I'm a little sad I'm only playing it at one, but the deck needs a lot of room. I don't want to play 50 cards, and even now I'm still thinking of ways to make this just more consistent. So if you have a build that's like a straight OTK build with kaijus and stuff like that, comment down below your list, because I'd be very interested to see like what I'm doing that I can alter here. But anyway, Owl is great for when it is summoned or special summoned. You can add a poly from your deck to your hand, and then you could pay 500 life points to just do a fusion as well. It acts as like a monster poly, which is really cool. Sheep is really good for putting another on board, because if you control another Fluffal monster, you can just special summon Sheep, which is really good for going into Anaconda if you really need that extra extension. And then we have the two Fluffal Bear. In the other build that I was playing this at 3, I believe. I think 2's better. You just, like, it's good, but I don't want to see it a ton. But I probably should change the ratio a little bit. Basically, when it's sent, when it's in your hand, you can just straight up send it to grave to just set a Toy Vendor, or activate a Toy Vendor, which is really good. We're playing the one Edge Imp Savers. It's really good for making your Tiger for clearing the board. And it's the only card that can go into Tiger, because Tiger needs Edge Imp Sabers. And so when Tiger is summoned, it pops up to the number of fusion materials used, generally just 2, but 2 pops is really good. And then if it's in the graveyard, you can put a card on top of your deck to then put it into summon, which is really nice, because if you have something like Fluffal Penguin, which I'll get to here in a second, you can use Edge Imp and say Penguin, and then you get to draw 2, discard 1, and you get to put something back to summon this back that you now have a bigger recycling to do. I've done it in a duel quite a few times where I've actually fusion summoned once with Fluffal Penguin, fusion summoned once with Edge Imp Sabers, put a card back to summon it, and then used Fluffal Penguin again, drew the card that I put back and another one, and then just discarded it. It's a really fun play with some kind of things that you can teeter your hand a little bit more. I really enjoy the card. We move down. We'll skip the hand traps. I'm playing Edge Imp Scythe, and I'm playing 3 of these because it can be used as a fusion material on your turn, or on your opponent's turn in the main phase. So if they start setting up a board and you find a place where you can stop them, you can summon Frightfur Cruel Whale and then activate Cruel Whale's effect to pop 1 on your side and pop 1 on their side. And Edge Imp Scythe takes place of the destruction, And so it banishes itself. You have a Cruel Whale on board then, and then you pop something on them, giving some interruption on their turn to slow them down or have them teeter and maybe not make such a strong board. And then you can use another one later on and do 2 Cruel Whale and go into VFD. So I really like that card. I like Edge Imp Scythe. I like playing it at 3. I think it's really, really good. We're playing 3 Fluffal Dog. This card's really good. When it's normal or specialed, you get to add an Edge Imp Sabers or a Fluffal. So you really have like 4 copies of Edge Imp Saber. Not 4 copies, but you have 4 ways to get to it. Actually a little bit more if you count the patchwork. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ways to get to Edge Imp Sabers if you need the destruction effect from Tiger, because Frightfur Patchwork can also summon it. So it's playing 1 is good because of this. And I'm playing 3 Edge Imp Chain. This should probably be 2. I don't think I need 3. I think 2 would be fine because I'm playing the 3 Scythe. But it's good because it recurs itself. In a sense, if you're on a simplified game state, so say if you Kaiju Slumber and then you attack over the Kaiju and then you can have the Edge Imp Chain as well, it's just like really, really good for attacking and grabbing another one. And then if you use a Poly to fusion it, you can add a different Frightfur card, and the Frightfur card you can add can be Fusion or Patchwork, and like so they're both really incredible cards to add off of the Edge Imp Chain. I really, really like it. And then we have the Penguin. Penguin, probably the best Fluffal card, hands down. During main phase, you can special summon another Fluffal monster. So like this and Dog is just like an incredible combo here. And then when it's used as fusion material, you draw 2, discard 1, which is also great for like tutoring your hand to be a little better than you had previously. And we played the 1 Dolphin. Where you can target a toy vendor in your graveyard, you can set it, and if you do, you can send a Fluffal monster, edge it from deck to the grave. And then if it's used as a fusion material, you can shuffle one of the fusion spells, so you can shuffle back Frightfur Fusion, or a Poly if you really, really need it. And then we're playing the 3 hand traps of Maxi, 2 Ash Blossom. I wish I had more room. I really did. I'm wondering if I could get around with like a draw more hand trap, like Gammas and stuff, and play a very minimal Fluffal build. But the problem is you need a lot of these monsters to keep gaining advantage, so I'm unsure if it's possible to do it that way. And then we're playing 3 Kaijus. We're playing a Kumaninga Sticky Boy, we're playing Eternal, Gameciel, and then we're playing a big boy, Jizukiru. This is the one that we summon off of the Interrupt the Kaiju Slumber, and then we give them a Gameciel or a Sticky Boy, depending on what we have left. We're playing 1 Raigeki, 1 Lightning Storm, because that's all I have. I really should be playing, like, probably 3 Lightning Storm. 3 Poly, because we need it. 1 Frightfur Fusion, because it can be searched and recuperated off of other cards. We're playing the 2 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. Again, probably should be 3, but I didn't pull 3, so I'm only used 2. It's actually seemed to work pretty well right now, surprisingly. And also deck space is kind of a thing, so it's pretty nice. We're playing the 3 Frightfur Patchwork. You add an Edge Imp monster and a Polymerization. Really, really good for when you need to when you summon the Fluffals, when you see too many Fluffals and you don't see enough of the Frightfur cards to go, or the Edge Imp cards to go into your Frightfur card. So, and we're playing 2 Toy Vendor. It's really good, but it's worse without Foolish Burial Goods. There has been a couple times where I've been playing this version and I've missed Foolish Burial Goods, but generally it hasn't been that bad. And so for fusions, we're playing Frightfur Wolf, 2 Frightfur Tiger. This is the destruction guy. He's really good for clearing. If you can interrupt somehow with a hand trap or something, and they end on a subpar board, clearing the way is just really good. But generally not used for OTK. Usually only good for if you open subpar as well, but you had enough to stop them. Frightfur Sabertooth to go ahead and summon other monsters back. Also can't be destroyed by card effects or by battle if you use 3 materials, so pretty good there. Kraken is your OTK boy. Paired with Cruel Whale, you can send a card to buff up Kraken to 3300, attack twice with Kraken, and attack with Cruel Whale, and that's just game. So we play 3 Cruel Whale because we need at least 2 if we're going to do VFD, and it's just really good for interruption. The 1-for-1 exchange, where you pop 1 on their field, pop 1 on your field, is like really, really good. I've won more games with this card because people don't really seem to understand what it does, and so I think this card is just really good. We play one Bagooska if we absolutely open kind of bad, and we can just summon Dog and Penguin and then Dog, and we just make Bagooska. Everything gets turned and negated, so pretty good there. We have a Zeus if we want to attack with Bagooska after kind of limiting what they do. But it hasn't really come up. This should really probably be changed to something else. Totally Awesome or Bahamut Shark combo would probably be better if they both weren't ultra rares. And then we have the King of All Calamities for when we want to go into Frightfur Cruel Whale if we can't kill them, but we can kind of interrupt them. Then we have one All Mirage, one Cross Sheep, one Vartanaconda, absolutely needed. It sends Frightfur Fusion, it sends Polymerization. It's so good. It's such a good card. And then we have an Appaloosa Bow, the Goddess, if we open like a bunch of Fluffal monsters with no way to edge imp card, and we want to just summon an Appaloosa. So pretty good there. And with that, let's jump into a game. All right, so here we are with the game. We open okay. This is not a particularly amazing opening, but at least we have some combo with the Patchwork, some Toy Bender into Edge Imp Chain stuff, and then we have our Lightning Storm as well. And they just set to pass, which is a little worrisome to us. We don't know exactly what they're playing. Usually a set 2, this is pretty indicative of Shaddoll. If they brick, like if they don't see a way to Alistair or the Dogmatika engine or something of the sort, this is pretty representative of what Shaddoll will do. We draw a Poly for turn, which is pretty good. We're going to go ahead and activate Lightning Storm on the back row to destroy it, so we know there, when we destroy that back row, that we destroy the El Shaddoll Fusion, we know we're playing against Shaddoll, of course. So we're going to activate Patchwork. They're going to go ahead and Ash that, which is a little rough for us, but we're doing okay. We still have a way to get into some other things. So we're going to go ahead and activate Toy Vendor here. We're going to activate Toy Vendor effect. Actually, sorry. We're not going to activate Toy Vendor effect just yet. We're just going to activate Toy Vendor, and then we're going to go into Poly, which then we're going to summon into the Cruel Whale. And because of this, we're going to pop the Toy Vendor and then pop their card after we search with the Edge Imp Chain. So Chainlink 1, Edge Imp Chain to get the search, so it's chain blocked, even though they can't Ash Blossom since they already Ash Blossomed already. And then Chainlink 2 Cruel Whale to pop the Toy Vendor and their set card. Because this set card could be a Skalmata, which would destroy our Cruel Whale when flipped face up. Edge Imp Chain, go ahead and grab Frightfur Fusion, because it grabs any Frightfur card. We're going to go ahead and get the Toy Vendor. They're going to send with Skalmata here. They send Wendy. We're going to grab a Penguin. They're going to activate Windy Effect, go ahead and set a Beast, which is a little rough as well, as I said, because Beast Defense is pretty high, 1700, and none of the Frightfurs can attack over this. The highest one is Dog at 1700 exactly. So they're looking for that card draw. We're going to summon the Penguin, we're going to add for Frightfur Fusion, we're going to do our Sheep and our Chain, we're going to go ahead and summon another Frightfur Cruel Whale. And we summon the Frightfur Cruel Whale here because Frightfur Cruel Whale is not once per turn. So we can actually go ahead and pop this beast, giving them a draw instead of a 2 draws discard 1, which then they could activate more Shaddoll monsters off of the draw to discard 1. So we're going to go ahead and target our Penguin and their set card to pop both of them. They're going to activate Beast. They're going to go ahead and draw a card. We're going to activate Cruel Whale to boost up the Cruel Whale. We're going to activate the other Cruel Whale, boost up the other Cruel Whale. We're going to attack for just barely enough. We're so close. We're 200 off, but we can go into VFD because we have 2 level 9s. This card is super strong. Alright, so standby main phase. We see that they have a meltdown, so they have a way to Alistair, and that's pretty good. We're a little scared of it. And this is where we mess up. This is where we misplay. They go ahead and activate Dogmatika Ecclesia. This is when I should have activated VFD. I should have activated VFD here and called Light. So instead, they summon Ecclesia. They summon Ecclesia. We chain, and we call Dark. That's wrong. We should have called Light, because if they were going to activate Ecclesia, and then even after an Ecclesia gets negated and can't be activated anymore, if they would have normal summoned Alistair, the only thing that they really could go into that the main Dogmatika punish, or the main Invoked Shaddoll Dogmatika deck plays, is like Aguides, because they can use one of the fusions, which Aguides is a light. And because we called light, it wouldn't be able to activate its effect. They could go into Mechaba as well if they really wanted to, but a Mechaba is a light, so it doesn't actually really matter too much. And then it wouldn't be able to attack. So for some reason, my brain was so, tunneled into making sure Alistair couldn't resolve that I really just forgot about all of the Dogmatika cards. So we're gonna activate Call Dark. That means that because this already activated, it's not gonna go ahead and get negated, because that's why we should have done it in hand. They're gonna grab Dogmatika Punishment, which is rough for us, and then they're gonna set 2 and then turn changes. We're gonna go ahead and grab Dog here. Dog really doesn't do much for us, and this is also a bit of a misplay here. We summon Dog in an actual, it comes out later here in a second that this isn't like a particularly optimal build of Shaddoll, Invoked Dogmatika, because they could have activated Punishment, targeted Dog, sent Entis, use Entis to target True King, and then we have to chain True King to do Light, and so that nothing in the possession can activate. Like as soon as they activate Punishment, we'd have to call Light, because of the Entis. So yeah, pop Punishment, pop Dog with Entis, activate Entis effect, pop True King. But instead, our Dog gets ashed here, and then they're going to activate Dogmatika Punishment, and they're going to target our True King, which I didn't think anyone would play this card. They play Invoked Elysium, which is very, very rare to see. But it makes sense. It's a pretty good card. And it could be a super poly target as well, by the way, for those of you who are looking. This is a super poly target where you can use your Invoke monster. And so you can use Invocation. You can normal summon Alistair, and then they try to stop you. Use super poly, whatever extra monster they have on board with Alistair. You get to go ahead and grab Invocation anyway, and you take a card out of their field, and then you get to activate Invocation and summon something else with your Invoked if you have enough of the materials. So if they have an Ash Blossom, you can summon a Purgatrio. If they used some kind, if say they tried to chain Effect Veiler, and then you get to summon a Mechaba now. So Elysium's pretty good. Not seen in a lot of modern builds, but it's a good alternative. But this really is the writing on the wall for us. We're down to top decking, and they, of course, top deck one of the best cards that they could have ever top deck. Monster Reborn. They activate Monster Reborn, they get Beast. We know they have an Alistair in hand, but they're under punishment, so it really shouldn't have mattered too much here. If they wouldn't have drawn Monster Reborn, the game was over. Monster Reborn put them back in the game because getting this big guy here threatens the Dog. And so even though they could have grabbed the Invocation, or because they can grab the Invocation, they're under punishment. They can't summon from the extra deck anyway, so it would have just been a Alistair set, and then we could have had a little bit more of a chance. But they had it they had it. No big deal. It happens. Our Dog gets attacked over. We take the 1,000. We top deck. And we're going to speed this up because I'm just going to let you know this is pretty much the end of the game. They activate El Shaddoll Fusion here. They go into a window. We are still going to get the Dog Search, but it's not really going to matter anymore. We're going to grab an Edge Imp Sabers. They're going to activate Beast to draw a card. They're going to activate Invocation because we can't do anything, so we had to pass. They're going to summon Aguides. Pop with Aguides. They're going to use Aguides' effect to remove one of the fusions, their Elysium, from deck, grab a bunch of attack, and just kill us outright. A little bit of a misplay on the True King of all Calamities, but it really shows that if you play the deck right, you can break a lot of boards regardless. Now, they didn't open insanely optimal the first time anyway with just set pass, but they still show that we could be pretty resilient even if they would have opened pretty decently anyway. So that's it for this deck list. If you have suggestions for a Fluffal build, I'm all ears. Please send them in the comments, because I love the deck so much and I want to learn different builds, either going first or going second, and some tips and tricks on how to actually play the list, because all I've gotten to do is play it a couple times in ranked, and a lot of them have been pretty good blowouts. Not to brag, I've gotten blown out before too, where they just set up a crazy board and I had nothing, and then I've activated, Kaiju Slumber, and I tribute everything, and then I kill them. So it's been a lot of just boom, win, and no back and forth. So I'm really looking for anybody who's had some back and forth, how to do the grind game with this deck. Or is it only specifically kill them or else it's over? So let me know down below if you liked the video. If you like the content, please like the video. I always do that. I'm just so bad at YouTubing. And subscribe as well. We have more Master Duel content coming. Happy dueling, everybody.